So today we're going to set up another Power Automate flow, and we're going to go after email again. We're going to go ahead and take a look at email. We're going to walk through this step-by-step guide where you can pause the video and then capture it for your own reference. But here what we're going to do is we're going to take this as literally step by step. So it's easy to follow this. Just follow each picture and you should be good to go. We're going to put all of our email from a specific, we're going to use a specific term in the subject line, and we're going to move all of that email. We're going to use right here, email read to. We're going to move all of that email directly into a SharePoint list where then we can reference that list at a later date. So this is great for things like email that you want to read. Maybe you got an email, you want to read it later, but you want to put it in a list, or you have an email topic that is interesting for a group. So you tag it, resend it to yourself with read email to, or whatever you decide to use as your unique identifier. And then you share the list with a whole bunch of other people, or create tasks, or you can do all kinds of things with that list information once you get it into the list. So stay tuned. Long intro. Let's go ahead and jump right to this. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a list. And you can see here on my screen, we're just going to go ahead and say new list. And then we're going to say blank list. And we're going to do, we're going to name that list email read. And we're going to put it into our personal site. And then we're going to hit create. So let me pause here for a minute. Go ahead and take a screenshot here. And then go ahead and take a screenshot here as the second row of information. And now that you've got those screenshots, we're going to go ahead and jump right to creating that list. So stay tuned here. Let's go ahead. We went to all apps. Remember, we go here. We could select list if it's there. If not, we have to go to the bottom, say all apps. We can select from here. But since it's here, we're just going to click on it right there. All right. And the thing we're going to hit is a new list. So we're going to hit new list right here. And we're going to say create that from a blank list. And then we're going to put in a name for that list. Now, I happen to name mine email read, right? And we can name it email read 3, for example. But you can name this anything you like. Now, the key thing to remember here, you can put any icon, name it any color you like, okay? The key thing to remember here is where you're going to save that list. So the default is to my list, but I always share it. I always save it into one of my SharePoint sites. In this example, I'm going to share it to my personal SharePoint site. And the reason why is because when we build automation later, it's just easier to do that. So we're going to hit personal, and then we're going to hit create. Now, I'm not going to create this right now because I've already created right here email read. So let's go ahead and open that up to see what that looks like. So we've gone ahead and set up these columns right here, just 3 of them. Now notice that index is not here. So if you go here, right, show hide columns, whoops, I need to make that a little smaller so you can see that. Notice I've deselected apply, title, because I don't like title because it doesn't tell me anything. So here subject is a text field, a multi-text field, and a date field. To add the column, you just click on here. Notice here you got the T text. You've got multiple lines of text right here for the body, and then you've got date and time right here. So put in whatever your fields are going to be. These are my field names. So if you want to copy this exact, just go ahead and pause the video and create your list. Okay, well, let's go ahead and go to the next step then. The next step is that, well, we went through this already here. Let me show you the instructions here. Whoops. So I told you about hiding titles, so there's how you do that. So go ahead and pause the video. You take a screenshot here. So that's hide this column. And then here are the columns that we added. Okay, so that should have been in your last screenshot. Okay, now we're ready to go ahead and go to Power Automate and create the automation. So let's go ahead and click back up here. We're going to go over to Power Automate. We can go to our apps here. We can click on here. We can click on Power Automate, and now Power Automate will come back for us. It just takes a moment here. Then you're just going to hit create right here, and you're going to say scheduled cloud flow. Scheduled cloud flow. Now I name mine email read. You can name yours anything you like. Okay, so I have email read, and then I ask it to go off at 5 a.m. Now, I have it do it once a day. You could do it once an hour, once a minute, once a second. I would suggest against those, and day is usually a pretty good one. But you can do it anytime you want, and it's going to be dependent on the type of email it is. So let's say that you're getting an email already from somebody, and in the subject line is something very unique. So the unique thing that we're going to be looking for is email to, because that's very unique. I think that's it. Email to with a numeric 2. So that's very unique. But if you already have an email that's coming in with a unique attribute, go ahead and you could do this literally every minute or every hour, or you could do a different type of cloud. You could do, when an email arrives. But we're just doing it daily because these aren't a lot of messages, but there's some messages. You could use this also. So this is for reading, but you could say task 2 and just create a list with all of your tasks from your email. So during the day when you get a task, you re-forward that email to yourself and you put in task 2 in the subject line and maybe have an Outlook rule that moves it over to the task 2 folder. Or maybe you are just reading your email in Outlook and you just drag the email over to the task 2 folder. In either way, it'll just create it once an hour here. Now I created at 5 a.m. once a day. You can do it whatever you want, and then you just hit create. Now I'm not going to recreate that because, again, I've already done that. So I'm going to go to my flows. I'm going to look for email read. And as soon as they come up, we'll see email read. And just to summarize, email capture is what I named it. But here you go right here. You can see the flow. Okay? So this is what we just created. We did this step, so you can pause the video and capture that step. And then we do that step right there. Okay? So good. So now we have email read right here. Email capture must be another one. I'm going to turn that one off, and we're going to just say email read. Now, in order for us to test it or really for it to operate in our environment, it has to be on. I turn these off because I do these videos and then I have a bunch of Power Automate flows running in the background that I don't want. So we're going to go ahead and hit edit here and bring this flow up. Now we'll be able to go through the steps of the flow. So let's see here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add an action to this flow. Okay, so right here, we already have the recurrence, which we've already defined right here, once a day, and we can set the time. We can do all kinds of things in there. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to click on here and say add an action. Now, your screen won't say add a parallel branch. I'm saying add a parallel branch because I already have these actions in here. So you're just going to click on add an action. So that's going to be just like this one right here, add an action. Okay. So if you want, you can pause the video, take this screenshot. And we're going to add get emails. So to do that, we just click on here and we just type over here get emails. Okay? And then we're going to come up with version 3 right there at the top, and we're going to select it. And once you select it, it's going to automatically open to this place right here. So it'll just come right open for you. And then you're going to want to select show all. And it's going to show you all of these options. Now there's only 3 options that we're going to really reset here. One, we're going to reset right here. We're going to put in the subject email read to. That means that if I put that in the subject line, read email to, that it's going to go ahead and run this automation. That's the filter. So I need to have that on any email that I want to read. Even if I drag and drop that email into the folder, I still need it to say email read to. Then fetch only unread messages. Well, you have to make that decision. So for example, you may have tasks here, maybe your thing, right? Tasks. So or let's just say email, read this email. It's a long email and you want to capture it in a list so that you can print it off in a report or do something different with it. So you're going through your email in the day and you tag this, you resend it to yourself with email read to in it, okay? It's going to resend it. It's going to go back to the inbox where we're looking for this information, and it's going to stay there. Now you can leave it or, just kind of ignore it. When the script runs, when the flow runs, which this one's scheduled to run every morning at 5 a.m., it's going to go through, it's going to find all of these emails, and it's going to create the item in the list, and then it's going to delete them. So I guess telling you this, you can get very creative with the parameters that you set here. So just use my example as an example and build upon it. And then you're going to say 25 is your top. Okay? So it's 25 is the max. So that's going to kind of make a difference on when the recurrence is happening. So if you're getting more than 25 with email read to and the subject filter, you're going to want to turn your recurrence up to maybe hourly versus daily. Okay. All right. Next thing we're going to do is initialize the variable. Remember, it's plus add action. Let me show you the step-by-step here. We did get by email, so pause and get that. Good. And then we made these settings right here. So we're in parameters. We selected here, show all, number 4, email read, number 5, top. And we also added in there that we want to collect both, we want to collect read and unread emails. Okay, so that's that. All right, then we're going to add a new action, and we're going to add and initialize a variable. And we're going to name this variable process emails, and we're going to make it part of an array. So let's do that action real quick. So add action, initialize, just type in init. Here's the variable. I'll pause the video. Go ahead and snapshot that. And then the next thing is we're going to add another action. Okay, this is one action. We're going to add another action. I'm sorry. We're going to fill in this action that we just added for initialize variable. So we're going to name it processed emails. We're going to type is going to be array. So take a screenshot of that, and let's go see what it looks like in the real world. So here we have initialize. So we're going to add the action. You already got that. We're just going to type in processed email, and then we're going to select on this and select array. That's it. Not much more. The next thing we're going to do is create a loop. So this loop is right here. So we're going to add an action, and we're going to type in apply and apply to each. Then we're going to go in and we're going to be selected on this apply to each. We're going to click on this lightning bolt, and then we're going to type in right here. Let me see, where are we? Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to type in, we're going to click on the lightning bolt, excuse me, and then we're going to select body and value. So let me show you what that looks like. All right, I almost got confused. So we push on here, we click on here, we go to here, and then we type in body or value. It's only going to give these two. We want to select this one, which we've already selected, body value. Okay, that means that it's going to just continue to do it within this body. Okay, now we're adding items within this loop right here. Okay, so you can see it's kind of grayed. Okay, so we click on it, add action. The next one we want to add is create item. So what we're doing here is we're creating the item inside of SharePoint. So take your screenshot right there. Remember, we're inside this apply to each. Create item, select create item, and then you're going to define it right here. You're going to call out your list, the address, and then you're going to call out the list itself. And then we're going to get down here to subject, and we're going to click on, we're going to hit show all. We're going to get down here to subject. We're going to click on there. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. And good. All right, so let's go over there and do that. So create item. There it is right there. We click on here, and we can select our site, and then we can select the list on that site. We can hit show all, but there's nothing really there because we're not doing any of these. And then here for subject, we're just going to click in there. We're going to hit this right here, and we're just going to type in what it's looking for, which is subject, right? And then we're going to click it. And we're going to do the same for subject, body, and receive time. Nothing really fancy there. Okay, now what we've done is we've initialized this variable. We've created this item in here. Now we're going to delete the email. So what we're going to do is we're going to just call this ID, which again, we click on here. We type in ID, and we're looking for message ID. Okay. And then that's it for that. And the next one we'll add is append to array variable. So when we select there, we're going to take the subject and we're going to append it to the value. Okay? And then that will basically populate this variable, processed email, we're going to append to it. And that is all you need to do to write this out. So what's going to happen? It's going to write, it'll delete, and then it'll write everything you have inside the variable. It'll write it up back to the list, and then it'll just keep going in this loop. And that's how you append, or how you take an email message and store it based on something in the subject line. Good luck.